Hello, I'm Snub and welcome to another episode of the Summer Sale Sampler. Today we're going to be talking about Not the Robots. It's 75% off currently on this summer sale and it's made by 2D Array. It looks like it's the only real game they've made, their only other title being a variety pack of VR demo games. So let's see whether or not they've been able to make something good. And when I was looking up this game to try and get some footage I made the footage myself when I was looking for trailers, it looks like their game website no longer exists, which is usually a red flag, but the dev's main website does still exist at least, so they've got that going for them. And as always, we're going to start with the art style of the game. It's completely bland, it's all tones of greys, and they seem to do this deliberately by doing all randomly generated everything, but they can't gain points for that for me. I mean, it's boring to look at and it gives you a boring atmosphere when you're playing. The same could be said for the sound. I mean, I had to look up the sound while I'm recording this, the sound, the music rather, just so I could say something about it, and I couldn't. I mean, there's nothing to say there, it's rough. The story, if you can manage to call it that, is pretentious, generic. I mean, it sounds like something that a bunch of college students would write up halfway through a philosophy class. And that theme of college student project will recur throughout this game, I think, if we look for it. And the reason I say that is because it feels like this was a project assigned to someone with the concept of RNG. So everything in this game is designed by RNG, for better or for worse. Even so far as the designs on the walls are based off of a fractal random generation, which is, it's a neat concept, which is fine for like a college project, for example, but it's not good for a marketable game, especially in this day and age where you get some really beautiful games coming out of indie studios. But I mean, maybe even if the art and sound is rough, maybe the game is good. Let's get into that and see whether or not that can save it. And the answer to that is no. The short answer at least. Let's talk about the long answer a little bit. So this is a roguelike. Read, everything is randomly generated. Surprise, surprise. But unlike other roguelikes, there's no effort seemingly given to try and minimize randomness or add consistency. The best roguelikes, I'm going to cite two modern ones as opposed to like more traditional ones, simply because they're a bit more relatable, would be Enter the Gungeon and Wizard of Legend. Both of those attempt to mitigate randomness in their own ways, which lets players have a more consistent and somewhat tailored experience. So it doesn't feel like you're just wading through a random pattern of rooms. It does feel like there are some challenges that are set out to be specific. It does feel like you're never going to be completely fucked at random, and that really helps a roguelike experience. So looking at Enter the Gungeon, for example, if you can beat the first boss without taking a hit and all subsequent bosses without taking a hit, you gain a subsequently larger health pool, which helps to mitigate the randomness of more difficult rooms. Similarly, if you don't have a gun beyond your starter gun, you're guaranteed to get a gun from the first boss, which is typically quite a decent gun, so it helps to mitigate the randomness of not getting a good gun. Wizard of Legend takes this one step further, allowing you to even take 4 of your own custom choice spells and 1 custom trinket into the dungeon just from the get-go, and this gives you a full moveset as well as a trinket which you can use to synergize with the moveset you've picked, and this completely eliminates the random aspect of getting build fucked. I've played that game for a few hours now and there will be a review coming at some point, but every single run I felt like I had a good chance of beating it and I felt that my mistakes were my own, which to me is a really important thing in a roguelike. Personally, I fucking hate getting screwed by RNG. That's why I stopped playing Hearthstone. I fucking hate Hearthstone. But winding back up to the game that we're meant to be reviewing, Not the Robots, this game doesn't even attempt to mitigate the RNG that's present in the roguelike formula. It fucking revels in it. And it revels in it to such a point that the rooms don't even look like someone's even tried to make them look like rooms. They're just boxes stuffed with furniture. And that really eliminates part of the fun of a roguelike. Part of the fun of a roguelike is that there is a world that you're participating in, even if it's a randomly generated world, not that it's just a random collection of objects with no tying together theme. I mean, calling back to Wizard of Legend, for example, the overworld, the pre-dungeon section where you've got your little house and a market, that's what sells the world to you. This game doesn't even have a lobby or something that you can wander around your little butt plug robot in. You gain your upgrades through a completely abstract level up screen, you gain all your power ups from that, and there's just no soul in it, there's no flavour, it's fucking bland. Just put some spice in it, add something spicy, just one thing, please God. And I did say butt plug robot earlier, and I feel like I should clarify that because it came somewhat out of the blue. You do pilot a little one-wheeled unicycle robot thing. I mean, robot in the loosest term is just a camera on a fucking butt plug. So again, I'm gonna call back to Enter the Gungeon. Their characters have character. At the very least, you would hope that they would add some personality, some vibe of soul into your fucking player avatar, because that's you, that is what you are controlling, that's what you're meant to be invested in. But no, they just continue to give you this soulless little husk and say, go play in the fucking box. And that low effort, let the RNG make the game for us attitude is so ever present in this game that we come into the negative section quite naturally by talking about how boring this game is. This is terribly boring. I played this for maybe an hour. I think even less than an hour before I just wanted to be done with it. I mean, I was in two minds of even making a review about it because it's so fucking stale. It's the barest bones stealth game that's possible. You have two types of enemies I found. Maybe there's more as the time goes on, but if you don't have the motivation to reach that point, then it's not even necessarily really there, is it? And on a little note regarding the enemies, the one enemy in the game that's actually mobile, the sentry, has a completely random movement pattern, which is just fucking great, really. I mean, can you think of any stealth games? Let's talk about Metal Gear, for example, you know, the archetypal title of the stealth genre. The whole point of a creeping, stealthy game is that you can observe the guards, follow their patterns, and then exploit their patterns. We've been doing this that way since Thief. I mean, that's back in the 90s. How do you fuck up a sentry? So, I mean, sentries just wander idly randomly, and they'll spot you across the room unless you crouch behind furniture, of which there is much. So, it ceases to be a game of actually thoughtfully trying to avoid the sentry, and more a game of fucking red light, green light. Which, I don't know about you, but I think that would get old within about, half an hour, which is coincidentally as much as I could stomach playing. I mean, coming up to the end of the half an hour I was playing, I couldn't even be bothered to play properly, because there was no sense of reward to it. It was completely random. I mean, at one point a sentry did like 3 or 4 rapid 180s, and what's the point of trying to stealth around that? You may as well just sprint for it. Because if the sentries are going to start randomly river dancing, then there's no actual way to avoid them. There's no way to play around it thoughtfully. You're just rolling the fucking dice. And that all comes back to the main thing that makes a good roguelike. Is it a roguelike doesn't feel random. A roguelike feels like it's generated, but it feels like it's purposefully generated. It feels like there is a reason for you to be doing what you're doing. But when you remove all sense of accomplishment or enjoyment from a roguelike, you get this bland, grey mush, which is exactly what this game is. It's a ladle of randomly chosen grey slop from the cheapest cafeteria you can find. And you know where you might find a cafeteria like that? On a college campus, because this game feels like a student project that grew a little bit too much, and the little guys who made it decided to sell it for a few bucks. Ultimately, I don't necessarily disagree with the concept of a game where random generation is the core of all aspects, but random generation does need a human touch to make it relatable, to make it enjoyable. And what these people have done is they've taken a concept that could work to a completely stupid level, and that's why I have to give this my lowest crayometer score of all time, 1 out of 5 crayons. And I feel like it does bear mentioning that I did refund this game. because I refuse to pay the paltry price they're asking for this trash, and I advise you not to either. Which brings us to the end of this summer sale sampler. I hope you've enjoyed. I've been Snub, and if you did enjoy this video, I'd greatly appreciate anything you can do to support this channel. As a very small channel, even a single like or a single comment really helps. Thank you, and goodbye.